Hi there and happy March. We are in Pisces season. We have just come through the massive energy of the Pisces Cazimi, which was with Saturn and Mercury and the Sun. We have not had a Pisces Cazimi for 28 years that involved Saturn. So this really did offer up a lot of opportunity for really using that Pisces energy for healing, for really looking into ourselves, Pisces being oneness and that deep bottom of the ocean emotional side. So wherever Pisces is in your chart, which houses, which planets, that would have gotten a real boost of energy, which could have been quite emotional for some people. It could have been very enlightening for other people. It could have been a really nice opportunity to heal. And Pisces being the last sign in the zodiac, we are in the endings period. Okay, so we might do New Year in December, January here in the material world, but in zodiac land, it is the end of the year now. Pisces season is the last season of the astrological year, and we have Aries season coming up, which will be the start of the new year. So I just wanted to quickly jump on and have a look at the astro weather and the moons for the weekend and get us through until Monday. So let's get into it. So firstly, let's just have a quick look at the moons. So all day today, being Friday the 1st of March, we have got a Scorpio moon. Now Scorpio is a bit of an emotional moon. It is quite intense and can make us a little bit overly aware of whether or not people are being completely truthful with us. Scorpio is a sign that really does like honesty, and it really does like to know the depths of everyone's thoughts. So it does make us a little bit secretive in that aspect, because we need to have a deep connection in order to be able to share all of our thoughts and feelings when we are in Scorpio energy. So that aspect alone, the fact that we are also likely holding back or keeping secrets, makes us a lot more open about that projection onto other people, and we might find ourselves thinking that other people are indeed keeping secrets from us when it is just the energy of ourselves being a little bit more restrained with our feelings. So this is very deep emotional energy over the weekend with that Scorpio moon. Just be aware of that your feelings may be a little bit more extreme than you were ready for. Now that Scorpio moon goes void Saturday, so Saturday the 2nd of March, going void at 6:47 p.m. until 1 a.m. the next day. So just be aware of that if you are out Saturday night, try not to do any big spending, try not to make any big decisions, okay? If you're out on a date with someone and you're trying to decide if they're the one, Saturday night is not really the energy for that in that void moon, okay? There are pieces of the puzzle that will be quite hidden from us, and a Scorpio energy is one that is based in long-term thoughts, long-term investments. And so we can get quite deep in those feelings. And under that void moon, we could potentially not see all of the pieces of the puzzle. So just be aware of that on Saturday night. We do then move into a Sag moon, and Sagittarius moon is more of a fun, adventurous moon. It's more of an upbeat energy. It makes us want to go out with a little bit more of an optimistic energy. So that will be all day Sunday. And we will see the quarter moon in Sagittarius at 2:23 a.m. on Monday morning. So quarter moons can be a little bit irritating. So this is the last quarter moon before we get into that new moon energy. And it can be quite a revealing energy, because as we move towards that new moon, we are moving towards these ideals of wanting to plant new seeds. And it will be a Pisces new moon. So it really will be the end and the beginning of a lot of cycles. So you may have some things coming up with that quarter moon that are quite annoying, that are quite irritating, that might be quite triggering. And the meaning behind that is to clear all of that out before we are ready to be planting new seeds with the new moon that is coming up. Okay, let's get into the aspects. Okay, so let's look at some of the aspects that we have had this morning. And it was some big energy around shifting that internal philosophy, that internal rule structure. We had a 4:21 a.m. this morning, the moon in Scorpio making a trine aspect with that Saturn in Pisces. So again, huge Pisces energy, lots of water energy around, lots of underlying emotions around today. Now, a trine aspect is a positive aspect, okay? It does want us to kind of combine this Scorpio and Pisces energy. So it does want us to feel. It wants us to feel to the depths of our emotions, and it wants us to look at oneness, okay? And how everything kind of comes together, and the culmination of all of the ideas that we have learned. That is Pisces energy. And with Big Daddy Saturn here, he's the karma master. He is the time keeper. He may put a little bit of pressure on you to be making decisions, to feel like you may be running out of time a little in being able to move towards these dreams. So just be aware of that underlying anxiety you might be having in relation to those two things, okay? Scorpio being that long-term investment feeling, and Saturn wanting to bring down some rules and structure might make you feel a little bit rushed, okay? So at 6:20, we had the sun making a trine to the moon there as well. So again, big Pisces energy, sun in Pisces, moon in Scorpio, big water energy again. And this is a positive aspect that would have really helped, that Pisces oneness feelings, bring light, being the sun, okay, shining light on that moon. So on our emotional nature, and being in Scorpio, that's on our deep emotional nature. That's on things that need to go through a death and rebirth process. So quite heavy emotions waking up this morning. All right, at 7:09, there was an opposition to Jupiter. So Jupiter is in Taurus, so we've got Moon in Scorpio coming up against that Jupiter in Taurus. Now, Jupiter wants to expand, okay? It wants to grow. It wants to bring us luck. It wants us to prosper. And in Taurus, it is really focused on stability, okay? So this could be family stability, job stability, but stability on the daily with Taurus, okay? And it can be quite a possessive nature. So you might find yourself very protective over the way that you want to be expanding. And with that Moon in Scorpio making an opposition, it really is your emotions sort of coming up against this sort of down to earth Taurus energy, okay? Scorpio wants to feel, Taurus wants to get the work done, and is very stubborn about it. Both of these energies can be quite stubborn. So you might have found that there was kind of an inability to find that balance between your emotional side and that stable kind of work provider option, all right? Something may have happened, something could have come up in your material world that sort of had you questioning how to move forward through an emotional haze, all right? Now at 8 a.m., we get some Neptune involved, all right? So just in case that Pisces sun isn't giving us enough fog, we get a Neptune in Pisces. So Neptune being the dreamland, being how we imagine, how we look at delusion and illusion, how we look at things like, particularly with Pisces energy here, this is addiction, this is over-sacrificing, this is pulling down the illusion and delusion curtain over reality, okay? And so this is very heavy emotional fog energy at 8 a.m, all right? So this aspect is an anxiety triggering aspect, all right? So yeah, a lot of stress around this morning in that early morning energy. We had Lilith coming in after that, just before 9 o'clock, and really asking us to compromise on some places that we may not have been standing up for ourselves in the past, okay? Now, Venus being in Aquarius, making that quincunx aspect with Lilith, this would have been around how we're kind of viewing ourselves as an individual in relationships, okay? And really offering us a chance to find compromise and bring a new energy, a new change to that relationship dynamic in order to be able to stand up for ourselves and move forward with the best steps that we need to take in order to support ourselves and our dreams, okay? Now, we would have got a bit of communication in relation to how to move through that energy, because we did have the moon trining Mercury as well. So that was just around 10 a.m. So that really could have been some emotional communication coming in. It might have been, Mercury is our mind, it's our thoughts, it's the give and take of information. So it could have been something coming in, particularly in this kind of Aquarius, Pluto energy that we are in. It could have been a text message or an email or some kind of a letter, but it could have just been speech as well, or could have been your mind overthinking, all right? And it would have been in relation to communication that is required in order to move through these emotional spaces, okay? So being really able to look at how Lilith has been affecting your ability to stand up for yourself. That's what Lilith is here to yell at us about, and to make sure that we are standing up for ourselves and we are making moves for ourselves, okay? Because only in doing that can we best work towards the collective. We have to understand ourselves first, okay? Now, of course, we can't get through today without a bit of a battle, all right? And so we have the moon squaring Mars. That is a big energy around today. The moon in Scorpio and Mars in Aquarius. So both of these energies, we're coming water and air, all right? So Aquarius energy, it does have the ability, and sometimes it proudly can disconnect from its emotional nature. And being that it is Mars that is using this Aquarius energy, Mars being our masculine energy, being our leadership energy, being how we stand up for ourselves and move forward, with that Scorpio moon, we could find ourselves in a very heated situation, all right? This is a war aspect, these squares, and these are two big energies fighting up against each other, okay? Aquarius is a fast energy. It wants to get things done. It wants to move forward. It doesn't really want to feel. It wants to get the job done. It wants to shine its eccentric, rebellious light. And that Scorpio moon brings in the heavy emotions. It brings in the feeling of, are we taking action towards something that is going to be a forever situation, something I can commit to, something stable. Scorpio really wants to invest in long-term things. It's not about, short-term ideas, short-term relationships, short-term investments. It really wants to get to know the depths of everything in order to move forward, whereas Aquarius, particularly in Mars here, wants to go quickly, wants to get things done, knows all of the ways to do it, and can adapt to change very quickly. Scorpio, not a huge fan of people, likes to keep to itself, likes to have deep emotions and deep connections. Both of these energies do get a bit of a loner vibe to them as well. So when you might find yourself in a situation requiring two opinions to come together, this is a really tough energy to be able to meet in the middle for that, okay? Not really a great energy to be making any kind of long-term commitments under, because it can, particularly because Scorpio is a bit of a secret keeper, it can not show you all of the pieces that you need to see, all right? Now, this afternoon, though, we do get a lot of help in being able to move through this energy, okay? At 4:20 p.m., we have the moon making a quincunx to the node, all right? So that's the north node, that's our purpose. And with all this energy around showing where it is that we need to move forward and communicate with ourselves and really stand up for ourselves, this aspect really offers us an opportunity to make some compromises in our deep emotional space and use that Scorpio energy for that rebirth, for that transformation that might be required in order to get to that goal, all right? So the North Node in Aries wants to lead you confidently to your goal, to the outcome, to your best aligned purpose. And so these could be some compromises coming up at work, in family, in situations that you thought you had a plan for, that you foresaw a future for, that you thought you knew the outcome of. And this moon in Scorpio will really kind of come in and shake that up in a little bit of an emotional place, just in order for you to know where it is you might need to change your perspective, okay? And then we get a really nice aspect just before 6 o'clock tonight, which is the moon making a sextile aspect to Lilith. Okay, so we did have that quincunx earlier with Venus, and now we get this beautiful sextile aspect. Now the sextile here, sextiles are a really nice aspect, okay? They really want us to be easy flowing. They really want to help us problem solve. And with the Scorpio moon and a Lilith Virgo, these two energies can work together, with Scorpio being that deep watery nature, okay? Very likes to get down to business, all right, and likes to get into the depths of ideas and feelings, and Virgo being very discerning, very able to criticize where it is needed, and being able to kind of break apart these deep ideas that Scorpio can sometimes find itself in. That moon in Scorpio energy can really take us down into the depths, and sometimes when we're in the depths of our emotions, we find it very difficult to think through them. But with that Virgo energy around as well, because we are still in that Virgo full moon energy for a couple of weeks, we will be able to sort of dissect all of the parts of these emotional triggers that have come up throughout the day with that square energy to Mars, and we'll really be able to have a look at what parts of that, those emotional reactions and those emotions that we've felt throughout the day, what part of those actually are helping us, what part of those belong to us, and what part we can set free. All right, so a bit of a heavy day for a Friday, and we got a light kind of overnight situation, so hopefully we can all get some rest. All right, so let's take a look at Saturday the 2nd of March. we've got a bit of energy in that dream space, again, with big Scorpio energy, moon in Scorpio, and big Aries energy, because we've got the North Node and Chiron both involved. And they're both making the same aspect, a biquintile aspect. Now, this aspect is really about showing us what we need to let go of. So you may have some things come up in the dream space that are going to be triggering on your past, okay? With Chiron around, Chiron represents the emotional reactions that we program ourselves with in relation to material world traumas and upsets from the ages of 3 until 23. Okay, so we experience these material world things from the ages of 3 until 23, and we create emotional reactions around them. And Chiron represents those in our chart. So in relation to this aspect, the moon in Scorpio making a biquintile aspect with Chiron, it's really showing us, and particularly after the North Node makes the same aspect, this whole story is about looking at our future goals and looking at how we can move forward, and whether that's work, relationships, whatever it is that's coming up for you, which you can find out by looking into your birth chart. So hit me up if you'd like a birth chart reading to be able to go through all of this with you. And it really does, it's asking us to go through and look at the ways in which we are holding ourselves back by allowing that old emotional programming to set our pathway forward, okay? So it is an emotional space. It can be quite triggering, and it can really be quite a restless energy. So you might not feel like you're quite getting into a deep sleep. And with Pisces around, it's likely that you'll be waking up tired with these aspects, because Pisces and Neptune being very, very much the dream space, that we are already in kind of a hazy, tired, don't really want to do much space. And then we get these healing aspects with Chiron coming up, and they are really asking us to do a lot of work in our dream space to really look at how it is we are holding ourselves back. So just be aware of that. Maybe have an extra coffee, sleep in if you can, okay? And as I was saying, that Neptune energy. So at 1 p.m. on Saturday, we get that moon trining Neptune in Pisces, okay? So we had that aspect with the sun trining the moon, sun in Pisces, moon in Scorpio. We also had the Neptune energy coming up in that dream space, with the Pisces around, with a lot of Pisces energy around yesterday, because we are in Pisces season. There's Pisces energy everywhere, okay? And so with this moon trining Neptune now, it's really increasing that dream space energy. And so this will be during the day here in Melbourne, and it's really going to be trying to see, how we might use our emotional space to feel more like ourselves, to bring everything back together, to use that emotional space in order to heal, in order to use that oneness to see to the depths of our old programming. Again, with Chiron around, this is heavy healing energy. And Pisces being the closeout of the new year, we are looking to throw things away so that we can start the new year, the astrological new year, fresh, ready to plant seeds, okay? So again, more Lilith action around, this time making a quintile with the moon. So the quintile aspect, again, it's that restless energy, all right? It wants you to be discerning about where you're using your energy and whether or not it's worth the continuing of the situation, of the relationship, okay? This is that energy of really taking stock of where you are using your energy and whether it's to benefit you, or is it just to benefit others? Is it just to feed your ego? Is it just to feel part of a group, okay? Lilith really wants us to stand up for ourselves. She represents our primal nature. She represents our the dark side of our emotional space, the part of us that doesn't shut up. Okay, the part of us that will continuously talk to us, whisper to us, yell at us about following our own desires. And in these aspects, she is really asking us to see what it is that we don't need and where it is that we're potentially letting ourselves down to sort of show up for others and, be part of a team. And our ego likes that, right? To get that, validation from external validation from others. And these aspects are really asking you whether or not that's a waste of your energy, okay? And in relation to that, with the North Node around, about how that holds you back, how constantly searching for validation and not choosing your own path and not going with your own intuition, and how that holds you back, all right? So we get that void moon phase as well from 7:30. And that is until midnight. So the rest of these aspects are happening under a void moon, and it can make it extra hazy, particularly because we are in that Pisces season of delusion, all right? So we get a bit of an anxiety trigger where the moon is it's in Sagittarius, and it wants it wants us to, be the teacher energy, and it wants us to be responsible. And it really wants us to follow our own rule structures. And it asks us what they are. What are your rule structures? What parts of how you want to move forward are you able to take responsibility for? And it really is a huge energy on Saturday of being able to see what it is that you can do and how you are holding yourself back by allowing ego to try and look for that external validation and not standing up for yourself. So this is heavy on the people who may be struggling with over-sacrifice, okay? And really asking you, are you making these sacrifices for the good of yourself, because you want to from the depths of your soul? Or are you making them so that someone puts a star on the wall? Are you making them in that kind of martyr fashion? And if you are doing that, please see the effect that is having on your ability to move forward, okay? So it's quite confronting energy. And then we get a sextile with Pluto. Now, any of these energies that are coming up with Pluto as this moon rolls through its cycle, a lot of these aspects are the first time we are seeing them, okay? So the moon in Sagittarius coming up against Pluto in Aquarius. And these are both at 1 degree and they're making a sextile. So they're trying to help each other out. They're trying to be problem solving, okay? Sextiles want to solve problems. And so it's that moon in Sagittarius, okay, that ability to shoot that arrow, to not really know how you're going to get to it, but to know that your true north faces that way, and to trust that the journey is where you will learn the lessons. And that Pluto in Aquarius really asking us to look at how the effect of the collective is moved by our own ability to go through a death and rebirth process, okay? Pluto in Aquarius is very much linked to things like our mind and technology and the collective and how we can transform all of those things. And so with that Sagittarius moon, that ability to be quite direct with our emotions, it's really empowering us to move through this energy of not standing up for ourselves, all right? Then we get the action planet coming in, and this is big fire energy, okay? This is a quintile aspect, so it can be a restless energy. Again, a lot of that around on Saturday. And this is about how to take those steps, okay, with Mars involved. So we've come through the thinking process, we've come through being discerning and knowing what to throw out. And this is Mars saying, we'll take some action on it now. Let's move forward, let's get to it. And both of these energies are quite, Sagittarius quite fiery, Aquarius quite fast, quite adaptable, the ability for revolution, the ability to adapt to lightning change and come up with new ideas is very heavy. And so you might find yourself late on Saturday night with a very active mind about how to move forward, okay? And then just before we come out of that void moon phase, we get an aspect with Chiron that could be a little bit of an anxiety trigger, because we've now had to look at ourselves and how we have been holding ourselves back, how we may have been letting our egos run the ship for a bit and lying to ourselves about how we are sacrificing. Oh, I'm over sacrificing because I have to, instead of realizing that we can take a stand and stand up for ourselves. And that's where that anxiety trigger comes from, because obviously when we go into our depths and we face these shadows and we really have to do that deep introspection about ourselves and really, you can do it without blame. You can do it without negativity. You can really just look at it for what it is and see, okay, you know what? I have been over-sacrificing because it has been feeding my ego, and that has been a distraction from my own purpose, from my own healing. Okay, so you don't need to attach negative emotions to any of this introspection. You can just see it for what it is. Everything we feel, everything we experience has a purpose if we choose for it to be, and we can choose for it to be a positive purpose. And this energy is really helping us kind of dive through our own mud, for lack of a better way to say it. Okay, this Pisces season very much about healing, all right? So heavy on that anxiety and irritating, restless energy on Saturday, okay? So Sunday, we are in that Sagittarius moon. We are feeling a little bit more upbeat, a little bit more optimistic. We probably want to go out and jump into some adventures. Hopefully the weather matches that vibe. Okay, so overnight, we do get a little bit of an irritating aspect. Got a semi-sextile, which is quite positive. And that's Mercury in Pisces bringing some thought and some communication to how to move forward. So we obviously have figured out some action steps last night with that Mars energy around. And now in that dream space, we might find our minds really working through, really processing how we're going to do that, all right? And then we get a semi-square, so Mercury then having a little bit of a battle with that Lord of the Underworld, Pluto, okay? Because of course, as we start making these changes to be able to move forward, this death and rebirth energy that Scorpio moon tried to bring in, we are going to see a little bit of a fight from the Lord of the Underworld, who represents our fears, who represents places that we hold ourselves back, and who represents, anger and rage in relation to letting things go in order to move forward, all right? So you could just be waking up on Sunday just a little bit irritated at someone for no reason, and that would be that semi-square to Pluto, okay? Then we get a nice quintile to Venus. Now that aspect can be a little bit irritating, but it is there to help us, see how we need to be more direct in relationships in order to move through those energies of showing up for ourselves, of being in our truth and not allowing ego to run us, okay? Then we get the big moon in Sagittarius squaring that Saturn in Pisces, okay? This is a big battle energy, and it comes with an opposition to Lilith as well. All right, so these next few aspects on Sunday are really, we've got a quincunx to Jupiter, a square to Uranus, a square to the moon. It's big battle energy on Sunday afternoon, okay? So try and keep your mind open is the best advice, all right? Try and keep your mind open, because a lot of the way that you are going to be feeling, the likelihood of you projecting that into a relationship is very high. That's how a lot of humans, how we all deal with some of this stuff, okay? So try not to take offense if you feel like someone is projecting onto you, and really take a breath before you have an opinion towards somebody else, all right? So let's try and run through the story of what this energy is trying to tell us on Sunday afternoon, and hopefully give us a little bit of introspection tools, all right? So a square to Saturn is really a battle energy about wanting to be adventurous, wanting to move forward, and Big Daddy Karma Saturn really bringing that hammer down on, is that matching up to your internal rule structure, all right? So Sagittarius, very heavy on the rules, likes to be the teacher, not so great at changing the rules, okay? And Saturn in Pisces, he's a little bit soft on the rules because he wants you to be able to flow with what is right for you, okay? So that's of course going to bring an opposition to Lilith, who's going to be pointing her finger back at all of the guilts and shames and oppressions that we have been a part of in the past. And we're really going to be overthinking those things, overthinking moves that we've made, things that we've said. This could be, with Mercury energy around, this could be a very triggering conversation, okay? And the purpose of that is it's going to help you really look at standing up for yourself respectfully from a place of that Saturn energy of being responsible, okay? Now, we get this quincunx to Jupiter, and that is really asking us where we need to make compromises with self in order to expand towards something that makes us feel comfortable, something that makes us feel stable, something that is a day-by-day build up, okay? Then we get a Venus square Uranus. Now, this is a really interesting aspect, okay? Venus representing our relationship dynamics, and being in Aquarius, it's that little bit of a quirky, rebellious energy. So just being careful that in relationships, you aren't trying to make these huge changes while pulling back from your emotional nature, because Aquarius is quite okay being alone. And so with these aspects around, Taurus gets very possessive. Aquarius is okay being a loner, all right? It is good around people. It does think of the collective, but it often feels like people don't understand us, okay? So this is that energy of not really feeling understood in a relationship, and it could come up with the other party really wanting to pull back, okay? So one could be possessive, one could want to pull back, and this is very stubborn energy, and they are fighting, okay? It can offer a lot of opportunity to come up with ways to move forward in a different way than you are used to with Uranus around, being very good at lightning change, being very good at coming up with ideas outside of the box, all right? So make sure any ideas that are coming up, even if they are in a fight, are being really thought about. Write them down if you can, take notes, step away from any fights that you're in to really be able to think outside the box of how to move forward, because Uranus in Taurus, very good at thinking of ways to make revolutionary change in order to find stability, okay? Then we have that sun in Pisces making a square to the moon in Sagittarius, and these two energies could not be more of a battle energy, all right? So the sun in Pisces, so oneness, so our deep, dark, bottom of the ocean, emotional nature, our ability to intuitively know ourselves and others, and our ability to want to look at the whole as a one, as ourselves, as oneness, okay? Coming up against an emotional state, the moon in Sagittarius, being very fiery, very driven to take action, needs to be on time, okay? Pisces does not exist on the same time structure as everybody else. Heavy Pisces energy is not about being on time. And this is happening at 9 p.m. and this could very much be someone showing up late, someone ghosting you, someone changing the plans at the last minute, someone not wanting to show up, okay? And that moon in Sagittarius is not going to like it. It's going to get very fiery about it. It's going to feel very offended. It's going to feel very annoyed that you couldn't keep to your plans, okay? But this is Sagittarius, okay? It's very heavy rule structure energy, and Pisces does not care for the rules of the material world, all right? So big battle energy, 9 p.m. Sunday night, okay? And the reason for that is because we also have Mercury making a sextile with Chiron in Aries. And so we need that big battle energy, whether it's just internally or it is with others in the material world, in order to then look at the ways that we responded inside of that battle energy, okay? Because we've got that Venus first, so relationship dynamics, then we are having this battle energy, and then we need to really think about using our mind, Mercury, okay? Our mind, our speech, our give and take of information, and really looking at how we have allowed that programming from Chiron wounds in the past to give us these communication styles, these ways that we hear and give information, like really has us looking at the filters with which we think about things and about whether or not the filters that we use are still accurate for the people that we are now. Okay, so an example of that is if you were somebody who as a child, nothing you said was taken seriously, nothing you said was seen as being worthy of being heard, then you might find you've created an emotional programming around always speaking defensively, even before you've given the other party an opportunity to hear you out. And you would already, coming into a conversation on the defensive like that will get you defensive back, okay? This is mirroring energy when we're dealing with these aspects. And this is that energy of really questioning how you showed up in those arguments, how you showed up in those battles, how your emotional state reacted to those things, and whether or not that energy is who you are now or whether it belongs to that Chiron wound in the past and it needs to be released, okay? Pisces season, guys, it's heavy on the healing, okay? Really heavy on the healing. So just allow yourself to Pisces, okay? Water, let it flow. Be near water if you can, it really helps. Salt baths really help. Staying hydrated really helps. With Pisces season around, if you're not staying hydrated, you'll find you're getting headaches, you're not sleeping properly. We're not sleeping properly anyway because we're doing so much healing, and Pisces likes a nap, okay? Take naps when you can, really heavy on that healing and work during our sleep. All right, so that's what I've got for you for the weekend. Heavy healing energy. My advice is to just be around people that love you, be around people that understand you, and if not, spend some time alone, do the introspection, allow those war dynamics to take place inside of you so that you can really throw out what's not working for you anymore and really choose to take the other path, okay? These opportunities that Pluto in Aquarius is giving us to take the other path, the path that we may not have taken, it's transformative, and it's an energy that we haven't seen since the 1700s. And if you aren't taking advantage of it, I don't know what you're doing. If you would like some assistance with how this energy really affects you on a personal level, I do birth chart analysis. I'd like to think I'm very good at it, and you will find it very helpful, I promise. We can go through all of the placements in your chart, and I can work through how you are programmed, what your map is like. And through learning that, we can use that also in astrological counseling, and we can go through all of these aspects, these major aspects that are happening, and look at how they are affecting you and what they are asking you to heal, okay? So jump onto my website if you're interested in any of that. If you are someone who is a little bit more on the spiritual side and you would like some tarot guidance, I also offer that service. So make sure you're following me along on TikTok if you want to see what that's all about. I do live readings over there, as well as you can book them through my website. I also, excitingly, my children's book comes out today, so you can jump on my website and order that. It is called The Cosmic Playground. It is a picture book for us to be able to start teaching children about what birth charts are and how they can affect us. And I think the pictures have come out really beautiful. They're very colorful. The explanations are very simple. And even for an adult who is not does not speak astrology, does not understand, I think it's a really great starting off point to be able to start learning with your kids. I have two. I have an 8 and a 5-year-old, and my 8-year-old loves this book. We've gone through it in relation to his friends at school, and it's really given him an understanding of the amount of differences that people can have, and it really helps him understand why sometimes he just does not understand, okay? So check that out, jump on my website, and as always, stay weird.